modern women will wake up between the ages of 33 to 37, rush to have a kid, find a husband, or both. I can't talk enough about the modern women life cycle we have established here on Pearl Daily, and I think it's fairly accurate. I've sent it to other creators that I know, and they verified its validity. Now, I can't recap the whole thing here, but go back to my previous episodes of Pearl Daily to hear the whole thing. Today, we're going to be talking about points 4 and 5 of the modern woman life cycle, with 4 being that modern women will wake up between the ages of 33 to 37, rush to have a kid, find a husband, or both. And number 5 being modern women will hit their late 30s and early 40s and try to get pregnant either by a loser or by IVF. Modern women will rush to have kids, and some of them will get what they want. They'll find a man who is irresponsible enough to have a kid by or become a single mother and get inseminated by IVF to be a single mother by choice. But when this happens, they end up being older mothers. Now, many of these women find more fulfillment in parenting than they ever would have found in their careers or schools. That's when regret starts creeping in. There is a growing group of women that admit they wish they had kids sooner. They admit that raising a child when they're older has a whole nother set of problems that they did not anticipate. That's what we're going to talk about today. Modern women wishing they had kids sooner. So, okay, here's an article from BuzzFeed. I don't regret having my son, but I regret what I've given to him by having him later in life. Women who waited until an older age to have kids are sharing their stories. Nowadays, there are a multitude of reasons why women are choosing to get married or have children at an older age. In 2019, only 51% of 30-year-olds in the United States had been married, compared to in 1962, when 90% of 30-year-olds had been married at least once. In a previous post, dozens of people from the BuzzFeed community shared their reasoning. Next, I wanted to dive deeper into the kids part. So I asked people who did wait to become parents at a later age if they're happy with their decision, or if there was anything they wish they did differently had their circumstances been different. Before sharing their stories, it's worth reiterating that there's no right or wrong timeline to choose to have kids or not have kids, because everyone is so different. Because it is important to openly talk about this topic because it's nuanced and full of varying and valid perspectives. You can find several of these perspectives below. So one woman says, my husband and I have been married for almost 10 years with little birth control beside the pull-out method. It's a great method. Okay, I was fine with waiting to have kids first when I was 30 and he was 35. We started wanting to have kids since we'd already traveled quite a bit and bought a home. After 2 years of infertility and 1 miscarriage, we went through IVF, and I had my first daughter at 32 and second daughter at 34. I love them both to pieces. He comes from a large family with lots of siblings. We are both from a culture that values large families. I would have loved to have more kids, but I'm just too tired. Having a kid in your 20s versus your 30s isn't the same. You have so much less energy, or at least that's the case for me. We're done having kids. He had a vasectomy, which was his wish, and I'm kind of sad that I'm never going to go through pregnancy, labor, and have another addition to the family. We do have 1 leftover embryo that I keep in the back of my mind just in case. Translation: I'm going to find someone else to make me kid number 2. Watch out, husband. Okay. No regrets here, at least not for any of the common reasons mentioned. My regret is that my children's grandparents are older too, and that my children will lose them at a younger age than I lost mine. The life, the care, and the wisdom grandparents share is invaluable. Number 3, I waited until I found the right partner. We met at 35 and married at 37. And instantly began trying to expand our families. We've gone through multiple miscarriages, failed IVF cycles, and a failed donor egg cycle. I wish I would have been more educated about my body and known how hard it is for a woman of advanced maternal age to try to conceive. Not one OBGYN spoke to me about freezing my eggs. Not one OBGYN ever spoke to me about my eggs and how age affects them. While I was aware that egg quality declines as you age, I was not prepared for the reality that I've now gone through. I never thought to ask questions when I was younger while actively avoiding getting pregnant. It makes me sad that I was never taught about my own body. Okay, she was 37. Damn. Okay, I had my first child 1 year ago and I'm very happy. I have no problems getting pregnant after 20 years of birth control. It was an easy pregnancy. I have a loving husband who splits child care responsibilities, 2 sets of retired grandparents who live close by, and allow my husband and I to have a weekly date night. We can afford a nanny, which makes life so much easier. I'm so glad I waited. So she was anonymous and she's 40. So yeah, again, this is all a roll of the dice, right? The same way when men get married, it's a roll of the dice. Fertility, it's a roll of the dice. Like 10% of us have, I think it's called endometriosis. Cooked. Done. Naski, nada. Really, it's not the worst idea to be tested for that at a young age. You know what I mean? Just to make sure. I didn't end up getting married until 34. Then I got right to work having kids ASAP. I had 3 kids when I was 36, 38, and 40, respectively. If I had to do it over again, I would definitely have kids at a younger age. I am now 54 and do not nearly have the same energy I would have if I were younger. I'm also scared of having a major health problem before I can get my kids out of the house and through college. Also, in terms of helping for college, I'll only have a few years left to work before I retire, all while having to help my kids through college. So it's not the best timing. I think ahead to grandchildren as well. Will I have the energy and health to be a good grandma? Will I be able to help my kids out if they need? A lot of unknowns. Kelly, 43. Number 6. Doug, MPA on the website says, Pearl Reed, women want the wedding and not the marriage. Modern women want the pregnancy and the birth, but they don't want to be married. It's sad. I don't even really think they want the kid. Like, I don't think they really want the kid. They just want, what they want is the pregnancy, the clout of being a mom. That's really important. But being a mom, I don't think they really like that much. Okay. That's not their favorite thing. Okay. I loved having the freedom without kids when I was in my 20s and 30s. I could focus on myself. Now that I'm older, I have the money, the patience, and the time to give my kids a better version of me more than 20 years ago. No regrets. Next, I waited until my career and finances were stable, which took me until the age of 34. Unfortunately, I started developing an eating disorder in my early 30s, which may have significantly inhibited my ability to conceive. My spouse and I are actively trying to get pregnant, but I'm terrified that we completely missed our window. Yeah, you did. Cooked. I mean, that's cooked. I mean, I keep saying this on the show because we're cooked. Like, I do think, like, I don't think the world's going to end. I think, like, society will be fine relatively for my whole lifetime. But in terms of, like, the nuclear family, 1 mom, 1 dad, and kids, cooked. I mean, that's cooked. C-O-O-K, cook, E-D, cooked. Done, nice, naski, not. Do you know what's funny? I was having a conversation with someone and they were he was calling me black-pilled, right? And I'm like, and this is a guy that was divorced, right? So he's once divorced. He has a second wife. And I'm talking to him and he's like, how can you have this outlook? Do you not think that, like, you and your boyfriend could have because that's what everyone wants to bring up. They're like, you don't think you guys could have a good relationship? Like, you think marriage is dead? And I'm like, you're divorced. Like, how are you? I haven't even given it a go yet. But I'm like, you can't predict the future. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you thought you were going to be married forever. I'm sure I thought that I was going to be with a previous boyfriend forever, right? We all think things, right? But you can't, there's people that think they're going to be at their job forever. They get fired. You can't really control the universe, and you certainly can't control another person. So you cannot control if he is going to leave you or she is, right? So cooked. Pearl Ramsey, cooked. You're right. That's true.